Sick of sitting at your job, daydreaming about the life that you would have if you'd won that big jackpot? Do you want to design a life for yourself that you don't need to take a vacation from? Do you have a vision for your life that you just don't know how to make a reality? Next Exit Your Destiny is a witty, comical, yet straightforward guide that gives you common sense, easy to follow steps to make the life you dream of the life that you live. Get off of Unfulfilled Street, Unhappy Way, and Sunday Night Blues Boulevard and take the next exit towards your destiny today.
All right, welcome back everyone to Dream Building 101. I am your host, Dr. Ebony Potts. And on this channel, we talk about dream building. We talk about finding your path to fulfillment and, things of that nature. And we also kind of highlight what's a part of my book. My book is called Next Exit Your Destiny, Taking the Road to the Life of Your Dreams. And again, that's what we focus on this channel. So we make sure that we interview individuals that have taken different paths so that you have concrete examples of people that may have gone through some of the same situations that you are going through or have gone through to help you to see the light, So today, it gives me great pleasure. I'm very, very excited to interview someone that, we go way back. I mean, like 5th grade playing kickball back. His name is Dr. Leon Bannister, and he is a licensed mental health counselor. Welcome, Dr. Bannister. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy to see you and happy to have you today. Why don't you tell the people what you do? Most people know what a counselor does, but give some specifics on what you do, what your titles are, and exactly what your job entails.
Okay, so my job is pretty multifaceted. First of all, like with the titles that entail, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, but I'm also certified in grief recovery. I'm a national certified school counselor, national certified counselor, and I'm also a certified health coach. So that gives me a lot of leeway to do different things and work with people in a multitude of different ways. Now, what I do primarily is I work in the school system, but I also have a private practice on the side. In the school system, you might remember you're a counselor, you might remember going to see them every now and then. What I do is I work with students on their social and emotional well-being, trying to make sure students are, feeling at their best, trying to make sure there's no issues at home, trying to make sure that I can remove any avenues or any blocks that any students may be having that may be affecting the academics. That's how I work with students directly. I usually have, individual and group sessions depending on what the problem may be. If the problem is more of, if it's many students are having the same problem, then I'll have a group. But if it's an individual problem, then I'll have an individual session. And then I also go into the classrooms and I conduct educational programs for classrooms, for bullying, drug awareness, and things of that nature. That's how I work with students directly.
That's awesome. What was your career path like once you graduated from high school? Because, you and I went to school. We went to elementary school, middle school, and high school. We even went to the same church, but what was...
And the same college.
Oh, and the same college. That's right. So,
We just were everywhere together.
Dr. Bannister and I follow each other quite a bit. But, once you graduated from high school, we did diverge just a bit. We didn't run in the same circles in college. So once you graduated from high school, went to college, graduated from there, what was your career path like?
It was an interesting journey, to say the least. When I first started school, I never envisioned that I would be where I am today, because I didn't go to school to be a counselor. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. I first started studying computer science. My mom was like, computers, they're the wave of the future, and you should, study computers. You'll get a great job, which I'm sure you will. But as I was working through that path, I realized that wasn't for me. That just, that wasn't where I saw myself. So somewhere around junior year of college, I say to myself, well, I need to switch. I need to do something else. But I had already taken all these math courses. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a math major. I'm a math major. And everybody's like, oh, that's great. You could be an actuary. Okay, great. So be a math major. So I did that for a little while. And then, going along that path, once again, I realized that wasn't for me. Finally, it's like spring semester junior year, and I'm like, I really don't like this, but I need to graduate. I need to get out of here. I need to get a job and just start do something with my life. So I had a lot of friends who were in the criminal justice program, and I hopped right into that. And I was actually able to do pretty well in that program. And that's what I ended up graduating in with a degree in criminology and justice studies with a minor in math.
Okay.
So a lot of people, what they do is when they graduate with a degree, they might go on to law school, and that might be their chosen path, or they might jump into law enforcement or something like that. But that really wasn't what I was intending to do. Next, I ended up working for the airport. I was a supervisor of the mobility assistance unit. Those are the people that provide the wheelchairs and electric cars for the flights. So I was overseeing that program, making sure that the flights had their wheelchairs and electric cars wherever they needed. I I like that job for the most part. I like interacting with the people. I think the whole aspect is I like interacting with people. So I like interacting with people. It had some, interesting aspects that you didn't expect. Like one day I'm hanging out with Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan. He needed he asked for an electric car because he was going to try to sneak to his gate as fast as possible. So he figured, he's like, let me call this program, let me get an electric car, and let me, get to my gate as fast as possible. And I ended up hanging out with him for like 2 hours. So that aspect was, was interesting. I like that. The part I didn't like, again, were the hours. I'm working on weekends. My shift was like 12:30 to 9:30. It's like pretty much the bulk of your day. There's not much you're going to do before that, not much you're going to do after that. So it's not really much, doesn't leave much for social life. So although I did like it, and I saw how people were moving up in the company and how, I could have a place here, once again, that wasn't for me. Because I feel like with a career, it should fit all aspects of your life. So I ended up actually moving, after that, I ended up moving down to Florida. I needed to change. So I moved down to Florida. And I was like, I need to do something different. Initially, I started waiting tables again and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And upon that path, I was talking to someone and they were like, hey, why don't you get into teaching? You have a degree. And I was like, yeah, but I don't have a degree in education. And they're like, you don't need a degree in education. You just need to pass a test. And then you can just do the other requirements later. You can do alternate certification. And then I looked into it and I'm like, hey, I'll check this out. I might do this. This seems doable. So I decided to get certified in special education. So I bought a whole bunch of books and I studied and I passed the test and I was able to get certified. But while I was doing that, also was subbing. So I was subbing for a school and I was actually able to see what it was like to be in the classroom and what would be expected of me. That's basically my path to how I got here.
Well, just like most people, that's a winding path. If you watched my previous interview with Tarek Davis, who was also a classmate of ours, he made a statement during that interview where it's kind of like people are put into a room in the dark and we're all trying to just find our way to the light or to a door or to a window. And once you get there, it's kind of like, oh, okay. But again, that path is winding to try to figure it out because it's very unrealistic for people to ask a child, especially, what do you want to do when you grow up? And most of the time a child will say, oh, well, I want to be an artist. Or, they're thinking about something that either they heard was a good job or might align with something that they like. But once, as we all know, as adults, once you actually start doing that thing, you may realize I don't like that, or this doesn't fit this aspect of my life. And then you have to kind of start that journey of trying to find what it is that you like all over again. I'm sure that, you being a counselor, what's going on now in the world with all of the flux, the COVID and the political unrest and, all of that has definitely trickled into what you do. How has that affected your what you do on a daily basis?
Well, to tell you, it actually affected it in a positive way. So when COVID started, it was like my private practice, speaking specifically about, it was like my business started booming. People were coming out of the woodwork. Everyone needed help. People were saying they couldn't stand the social isolation. They were having anxiety. They were having panic attacks. They didn't know how they were going to pay their bills. And my business actually picked up a great deal. It was like amazing. I was surprised. I was having clients come pretty much out of nowhere. And it was kind of, in a way, I felt bad because here I am looking at the world and looking at everybody else, how they're suffering and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, this is how my services could, readily, help people in that way. Because people were, asking for, a lot of people who come to counseling, they really don't know what it is that they need to change. But some people, they just need those direct services. They need interventions that can, kind of help fulfill a void in their life. So COVID for the private sector was good. COVID for the school sector was a big change because now I'm having to kind of transition all of what I do into the virtual world, which I really wasn't all for in the beginning. Because, like I said previously, I like working with people. I like being with people, and I like the interaction. That's actually the most important part of working with somebody is that interaction, whether you have a rapport with them. It isn't really so much all the time of what skills you're using or what therapeutic techniques you're using. If you have that rapport, then you'll be able to affect change. And that's what I feel like I'm able to, provide in a small, intimate session in a personal basis. That is a little bit different in a virtual world. It's not impossible, but it's just different. Ultimately, right now, I feel really comfortable doing it now, but it's almost been a year since we've been doing it because we started in March. So it's almost been a year. So it took a while to get there, but now I've been talking with other people in the school system, especially the principal, and there's like certain aspects that we're hoping to keep. Like we want to keep some of these virtual meetings.
One of the things that some friends and I were discussing a few days ago was the shift. I see a shift in the way that people view counseling compared to when I was younger, especially in the African American community and minority community. There's still some resistance. However, I see it, and it might maybe just be in my pocket or my circle or my purview of people, but I do see a change in the view of counseling, the need for counseling. I know that when I was younger, people were not necessarily encouraged to go see counseling. If you went to a counselor, something's wrong with you or you're crazy or something of that nature. However, now, even, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama were talking about the fact that, their marriage, as perfect as it may seem, or as idealized as it may seem, they went to marriage counseling. My husband and I went to marriage counseling. I've, attended individual counseling. You have lots of celebrities that talk about the fact that they have gone through individualized counseling. So I think that coping mechanisms, I even see it in my child's school. My daughter, my son gets upset. She'll tell him, hey, breathe, count to 1, 2, 3. No one told me how to do that when I was in first or kindergarten. So I do see a push towards teaching people more coping mechanisms. Lord knows we have a long way to go, but do you see the same?
No, I definitely see a shift, especially within our community, within the world overall, because a lot of people see counseling as, you're weak, you can't do it on your own. You just have to be strong. There's something wrong with you. And that's not what counseling is all about. I like to tell people to look at mental health on a spectrum. So you have a long spectrum and you have the well side and you have the not well side. And most people are somewhere, in the middle. Some people are closer to the not well side and some people are more closer to the well side. And depending on things that happen in your life, and how you react to them can push you and shift you in different ways. So whereas, take for instance, a small crisis and a person who is more on the well side is going to affect somebody on the not well side a lot more. So some people, are able to interact interventions on their own, and some people just need, to be able to talk to somebody, to be able to talk it through, to find ways and, find solutions to help them get closer to the well side. And that, it has nothing to do with being weak. It has nothing to do with, not being strong. I always tell people that, most counselors have a counselor and that counselors have a counselor because, people just like being able to talk it through. So sometimes talking it through will actually, help you, get to a place where you're comfortable in making the changes that you need to make, that you should make, but it's just something that you're just not ready to do. You need to talk it through. It's just, and that's what, counseling provides us. And what's actually been, I've noticed is I'm actually starting to get more African-American clients. And I actually, what's cool about working with African-American clients is right off the bat, we have that rapport. It's like we could talk the same lingo. We understand each other. It's just that instant connection. It's African-American woman. And, I like working with her a great deal. And she happens to be bipolar, but she doesn't want to take medication. And it's suggested that you take medication with bipolar, but you can't make anybody take medication. If that's not something they want to do, that's not what they're going to do. But I've been able to work with this woman in different ways and kind of seeing her story of how she used her spirituality in ways to, help her get through the day. So, it's okay that she doesn't want to take medication. What's important is that, she sees that there are issues and she wants to make that change.
Everyone could benefit from a counselor, especially once you get to be a certain age. I think that by the time you're 35 or 40 years old, everyone has experienced some kind of trauma, and to varying degrees. You may have lost someone that's close to you. You may have, most people have had some kind of unfair, situation occur. You may have gotten into a car accident. Something has happened to most people, in my opinion, by the time you reach 35, 40 years old, that you could use a different perspective on. That's what counseling did for me. It just gave me a different perspective on some things that had happened to me in my life, and helped me to see them in a different way that kind of lifted a burden off of me. As far as marriage counseling, my husband and I went because we were having a communications kind of standoff, at some times. And that happens. I consider my marriage to be a really great marriage. However, we're two different human beings, and every human being filters the way that they see the world through the previous experiences that they've had. So the way that I see a situation is not going to be the way that you see a situation, and it doesn't make either one of us wrong. It's just that I'm filtering it through my previous experiences. You're filtering it through yours. And sometimes that could lead to communication breakdown. Sometimes that could lead to, misunderstandings. And there's nothing wrong with getting a different perspective. There's nothing wrong with listening to someone else that can help you kind of work through things. And I think everybody hits those bumps and stop gates and things of that nature in life. And, both of us having went to the same church and growing up kind of almost with similar backgrounds, one of the things that minorities are often told, oh, pray it away, or you could just pray and, take it to the Lord in prayer. And again, not trying to minimize religion and, reading your Bible and whatever religion you follow, whether it's you be Muslim or whether you are Hindu or whatever it is, spirituality is important. However, in my opinion, the Lord has given us tools here. So if you have people that are able to assist you, then why not? It's no different than you being spiritual or you being a Christian, but you still go to your pastor for additional guidance. So the fact that if you feel as though you're having a hard time, going to a counselor is beneficial. Why not? Why not use that tool?
And what people need to realize is, the mental, I always compare the mental to the physical. You know, some people have issues with doctors, but most people don't. Most people, if there's something wrong with them, they're going to go to the doctor. They're going to, see them. They're going to take their advice. They're going to take the medicine. With the mental part, there seems to be that disconnect. Say you're, having heart issues, and the doctor says, take this pressure medication. You're not going to fight the doctor on that. You're going to go. You're going to do it. Um, However, with the emotional and mental well-being aspect, there is that disconnect where people feel like, first of all, I don't want to go talk to somebody. I can figure it out on my own. And then when they do talk to someone, sometimes they're like, you know what? No, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. And I think maybe a lot of it has to do with the fact that physical, I can show you and I can pinpoint and say, well, look, these are your numbers. This is what's wrong with you. The mental, I can't necessarily do that. It's more of, this is what I'm getting from you, and this is what I'm seeing, and these are things that might be able to help you. And I think that's probably ultimately the issue why people, have a problem with going to a counselor, and where they won't have a problem going to a doctor. There's also that problem where people, they're private. People are just like to be, private and keep things to themselves. They don't want to share things. And the whole thing about going to a therapist is that it's confidential. They're not going to tell anyone,
Right, they're not gonna put
so
you on a billboard, on the highway
right.
somewhere.
Whereas if people feel like, oh, I can just talk to my best friend. Well, your best friend might tell your other friend, and then your business is out there. So
Right.
people need to
On top of
remember
that,
that.
birds of a feather flock together. So you tend to gravitate towards people that behave and have the same ideas as you, and they may also have the same block as you on a certain situation. So, it's important to get that outside advice, that outside perspective. And then on top of that, your best friend is not trained to deal with your issue, and they've not
Mm-mm.
seen it, in a multitude of ways, and have helped multiple people in that same
Mm-hmm.
stance before. So, it's very important. Tell us about a challenge you faced on your path. I talk about in my book about turn back moments, where you might have found your particular path, where you are happy where you are as far as your career path. But at some point, you may have faced an obstacle or something where you, at that moment, could have turned away from what it is that's actually making you happy at this current juncture. What did you learn from that experience? And what did you wish you knew before you started to embark on your path?
Oh, that's a big question. So I would just say, as far as challenging aspects, for me, it was just about being patient and, staying the course. So I learned a lot about myself when I decided to embark on, getting a PhD. As you know, because you have a doctoral degree, that road can be very
It's a little
challenging.
rough. It's a little rough.
Very challenging. Yeah, I was trying to say it, trying to say it politically, is that the correct term?
Right, right,
But
right.
yes, it's rough. It's a rough road, and it's a long road. And it can make or break you. There are many people who embark on the road to getting a doctoral degree, and they don't finish.
Right.
And
ABDs is what they call them.
yeah, ABD, they'll be right up at the end, and then they'll just stop after,
Which,
taking
for
all
those
these
that
courses,
have not finished, that don't know what ABD means, it means all but
all but
dissertation. So you did
dissertation.
all of your classes, but you never did the dissertation.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would you take all your classes and not do your dissertation? Like, you knew you had to do a dissertation at the beginning of the program. It's not like new information. It's not like they said, oh, you got to do the dissertation. But that's a different story. But people, they take all these classes, they pay all this money, they spend all this time, but it's like you get stuck. You get stuck on that path. And what I've noticed with the dissertation process is you just got to have patience. You got to stay the course. Actually, I remember talking to you about this, and you were like, just keep going, just stay, just keep going, just keep plugging along, don't stop. And that's very important, especially with the dissertation process. You can't stop. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward, because then once you stop the momentum, you might end up being one of those people who are ABD.
If you could tell someone out there who might just be starting on their path to fulfillment, which is again what my book is about, getting on their specific path for them, because everybody's path is different, what would you say to that person that's trying to sort things out and find their individualized best life?
Probably just stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself, and if you have a vision, don't let people, talk you out of that vision. If there's something that you really want to do, then you should go for it. You shouldn't let other people's situations or their experiences deter you. If someone is in a career path that you are looking forward to and some things didn't work out for them, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work out for you. I remember, for instance, when I told my mom originally, I was like, I'm gonna get into education. She's like, why? You're gonna be poor. Don't do that. You're not gonna make any money. And I was like, yeah, but this is something I really want to do. And that's how you may start out. But like after a while, after you've been working, after you have some years in the system, after you have a number of degrees, you can make a considerable amount of money. It doesn't look like that in the beginning, but like with anything, you're not going to start out on the top and expect to just be making what you would expect to from something else. You have to pay your dues. So I would just say be yourself. If it's something you really want to do, go for it. I really admire the people that really have an idea of what they want to do, and there are those people that know what they wanted to do. I don't know if you remember Nathan Jones. We went to school with him.
I do.
He was a couple years under us. But I remember he used to always say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, play for the, NFL. And people would be like, okay, yeah, sure.
That sounds nice, right?
He played for the NFL. Like
the NFL, right.
Like he didn't let anybody deter him. He did what he wanted to do. So if you have an idea, like, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a cop, whatever it is you want to be, go ahead, go for that. If that's your dream.
Where can anyone who is watching get in contact with you if they're interested in getting individualized counseling services or anything else that you might be working on or doing at this time? Do you have a web address, business address? How can someone contact you?
Yeah, the easiest way to find me, you can find me through drleonbannister.com. I have a website. You can also follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/drleonbannister.com. That would be the easiest way to find me and be able to maybe book an appointment or, to see what else I might be, into at the time.
That's awesome. Great. We will make sure that we put all of that information in the comments down below. And I thank you again for spending time with us today. And I hope that, and I know that someone out there got some information. Maybe someone got encouraged to seek out counseling today, or just to at least think about how they can better their life and how counseling and checking up on their own individual mental health can be beneficial to them. So I thank you. And don't forget, guys, if you like what you saw today and like what you heard, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and like this video and share this video. And again, thank you again, Dr. Bannister, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And see you on our next video, guys. Bye-bye.